Welcome to the first episode. It is a beautiful influence, a podcast about creating you online. My name is Alison.
And I am Krista Fabric.
And we are here to basically help you build your online influence for whatever that may be. So I am an entrepreneur in the health and fitness industry. I have fitness trainers that I sell online, and I also love teaching people about social media.
And this is Krista talking here. I am a longtime marketer, been in the marketing industry for way too long, have been a marketing consultant on my own for about 5.5 years. I have taught college classes on marketing and business for about 4 years, taking a break right now because I am working on my doctorate in business administration. And also, I love teaching people about building their personal brand and about how to use social media for good.
Yes, so we actually met at the college that I went to. It's called Arizona Christian University, and Krista was my professor.
I taught her the very first class I ever taught at college, actually, was Principles of Marketing, way back in January of 2015.
Yes, and I was terrified that I wasn't going to pass her class, to be honest. I was like, oh my gosh, but definitely one of my favorite teachers right off the bat because she was to the point, she had awesome information, and we hit it off from there.
Yeah, and then I'm not sure exactly how much we stayed in contact. I think just saw around at campus and things like that. And I got my chance to teach social media marketing for the first time. And Alison was dying to take it, but she had another class she had to take that was at the same time. So she could graduate, which she did.
Hey.
But at the same time, she took some of my advice and asked somebody to go for a cup of coffee and ended up getting a job as a social media marketing manager for a startup.
Yes.
And so we started talking more and connecting more when she came in and brought me their big, huge binder of their marketing plan.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And we just kind of started a conversation about how to do social media and how to do it well, how to do it right.
Yeah, I mean, I actually kind of forgot about that. I was working for this company, that was a really great sports company, but their social media was absolutely terrible. And I was kind of looking at it, okay, well, this is a great company, but they have no online presence and their sales are down because of that. They're seeing no return on their sales. And so I came to Krista and kind of said, hey, like, what can I do to help this company? Look at this binder they gave me. It's like, a bunch of pictures and whatever. And so we kind of started talking through that and figuring out, what you can do to help companies. And through that, I think we realized that a lot of companies are really bad at marketing and specifically social media.
Exactly. And so she was able to really work with them and help them a lot. And then she decided she always had a lot of ambition and she decided she was going to pursue her own businesses eventually. And so she wanted to start building her presence online. And I believe it was May of 2017, just not too long after she graduated. We sat down outside the coffee shop on campus and just started talking about what she was doing with her Instagram and what she was doing with some clients that she was working with. And that's just, ever since then, we've just built this relationship and started connecting and talking about how to do social media, how to start businesses. And so, I don't know, that's kind of how Creating You started, right?
Yeah, so it was kind of crazy because through, me asking her how social media works as far as like, getting people to follow you and getting people to actually engage with your posts and stuff like that, I found my own inspiration of what I like to do, which is health and fitness. And through that, I started to gain a following and I'm like, okay, this actually works. We can actually connect with people online and, we can actually build a business online because you see so many kind of, fake marketing companies and there's so much misconception about what actual marketing and branding, personal branding is. And a lot of people think it's only for if you have like a brick and mortar store or, just it's only for specific sectors, but really building your personal brand is for anyone. It helps you in any industry that you're in, which we've both come to find out really well.
Yeah.
And so through that conversation, we were kind of like, well, how could we help other people realize that this actually works? Like, what could we do to, just educate people on this subject? Because there's really not a bunch of classes on it, right? You don't have like social media 101 in high school or even college for the most part. And so we were kind of like, okay, this is a good idea. So that's where the idea of Creating You came from.
Right. So we wanted to put together an organization or whatever you call this, I'm not even sure yet, to help people, entrepreneurs, small businesses, whatever it might be, anybody that's interested in building their influence online. And so that's kind of where the tagline, "It's a Beautiful Influence," came from. And the name of this podcast is we want to help people use that influence for good. And it can be a beautiful thing to have influence online.
Yes, and the cool part about that is how awesome it is to be able to live out your dreams and your talents and what it is you truly want to do, because building your influence online can only come from the authenticity of who you are, from what you love to talk about, from what you love to do. And once you figure out what those things are, building your influence is being yourself. And that's the coolest part about it, is that you get to do what you love while being yourself, not being stuck in something that you don't, truly want to do. So today we are going to talk about discovering your path and the why behind becoming known.
Exactly. And so we've told you a little bit about our why here for Creating You. We want to help you build your influence online. And so next, we're going to kind of give you a little bit information about kind of why social media, in case you're not sold on social media. It seems like everybody's on social media, but I mean, my own husband hates social media and wants nothing to do with it.
Right.
So there might be some of you doubters out there that want to know why even bother spending time building a presence on social media and online. Social media can really help you with a lot of things. It can help you just building your brand, enhancing your brand if you already have a brand that's out in the marketplace. It definitely will help you connecting with existing or new audiences in deeper ways. If you have watched anybody's video anywhere online, you've seen how much easier it is to connect with and start to like somebody once you get to know them better, right? You can also bring attention and traffic to your work. So social media is a great way to showcase what you're doing in your business or what you're doing in your own life to build your personal brand.
It's true. People really like to just know who you are, and people will buy things from you once they know you, because they like what you're doing, they like your lifestyle, and through that, I mean, the discovery of kind of documenting what you're doing and figuring out why you love to do what you do, people can fall in love with the process watching you do it. So it's not quite as complicated as it seems as far as, posting and getting stuff out there, but it really enhances anything that you want to bring to life. You get your audience by being yourself on social media. So kind of putting a face to the business, or a face to, what people see in your pictures, and just really bringing yourself out there online.
Exactly. And the last reason why it's really good to use social media is it's really a great way to discover new ideas and trends. You can connect with anybody, anywhere in the world, in any industry, and not only connect with them and see their content, but you have the chance to actually start a conversation with them. And
that's crazy.
So yeah, we're in such a crazy time right now that you can do that. So that's just a couple reasons, a handful of reasons of why you should be using social media for your own personal brand or for your business. Now, we're not talking about being famous, right? People talk about wanting to be Instagram famous.
Yes.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about becoming known, because it's about people who actually know you and want to engage with you, and who are perhaps willing to act on what you want them to do, whether that be just to follow somebody else, to buy from you, whatever it is. So there's a difference between being known and having influence online and being famous.
Yes.
So we just want to clarify that.
And I was actually going to say that's a good point, that being famous means that you have a status, but being known means, and being an influencer means that you actually have an influence over what decisions someone else makes. And the only way that you get that influence is from people trusting you and knowing where you're coming from.
Right.
So when people know where you come from and they know who you are, then they trust your decisions, and that's how you get to actually have influence over people in a positive way. So that's really cool that you kind of can get the ability to change people's lives in a positive way, or give them a new outlook on life, or whatever that may be. So
exactly. And then just in case you doubted how many people are using social media, and if there's a big enough audience for you to be in the mix too, Facebook has over 2 billion active users. Instagram hit 1 billion active users this year in 2018. And YouTube is at almost 2 billion active users. So definitely there is a big enough audience for you. I promise there's somebody that wants to hear what you have to say in the way you say it.
Yes, and I think that's a key point too, because I think one of the big barriers that people face is they think like, and I've heard so many people say this, well, there's, you know, thousands of fitness people out there. There's no way I'm going to get popular. There's no way I'm going to have any traction because there's so many, and it's over. A lot of people's like, oh, it's overpopulated. But the point of being a personal brand, the point of being an influencer is it's you. Nobody else can be you. Nobody else can say things the way you say them or have the sense of humor or do things the way that you do them. And that's such a cool part about connecting on social media as well, as it's so approachable. The approachability of people, just like you were saying earlier, is that it's so easy to, you know, somebody in person you might not be able to talk to. You can literally message them, and, you know, a lot of companies really focus on messaging back and interacting with people, especially now. So the connections you can make are completely unreal, something that, you know, you can't do in person.
Yeah. I mean, I legit have two friends to this day that I would call good friends, who both of whom I met because of Snapchat.
Isn't that crazy?
Like, I literally just got thrown into like a group with one of them, and the other one I just started following her because somebody else told me to follow her, and I saw she was local and I reached out, and now they're two good friends of mine, and it's been a couple years. So, you know, not just, you can't use social media just necessarily for networking or business purposes. You can use it to actually make friends.
It's literally the new way to meet people. That's why it's so important to be yourself on there, because, you know, that's a new way to meet people. So yeah. It's crazy. It's awesome.
And the other side of that is I have also been able to reach out to some major influencers and make really good connections. When I was teaching my marketing classes, I had some big time marketing people talk to my classes, do video guest lectures.
Yeah.
All because I reached out on social media. And so, yeah, it's super powerful, the connections that you can make.
Yes, that's awesome.
And I think we've already covered a little bit about why you really want to be known, but you know, it really, whether you're starting your own business, maybe you never want to have your own business, but even if you want to get the best job you can get, if you want to just make connections in your industry, becoming known is going to help you with that too. Like Alison said in the beginning, it doesn't matter what your goals are. Having a personal brand and being known online, having influence online will always help you.
And that's the thing, whether even if you have a normal job, you can, you know, attract clients that way. You can get jobs because of your social media. I actually have a friend who got a big time job because they saw his YouTube videos and they were like, wow, we really like this guy. He wasn't even that popular, but they saw what he did and who he was through those videos, and they were like, wow, we want you to work for us. And they actually reached out to him. And that's crazy, but people really do pay attention to, especially businesses pay attention to who they want to hire based on social media. So
right. That's awesome. That's a great story. I know, and I hear stories like that all the time. In fact, I think I got one of my last full-time jobs because of my Twitter presence. What I had put on Twitter showed that I was an advocate for the company and the community involved. And so, yeah, definitely. Now, you might be wondering, okay, well, great. I want to be on social media. I want to build my personal brand. I want to gain influence. But where do I start? What do I do? Well, we both strongly believe, I think, in starting with your why.
Yes.
Right? And so that's knowing why are you doing what you're doing? Why do you want a personal brand? Why do you want to be known?
Right. I think having good intentions with it, because, you know, I hear a lot of people say like, oh, I want to be famous. I want to do this. And it doesn't last very long because you don't have an actual purpose behind it. You don't have something that's bigger than you. So your why should always be something that you're reaching towards, not something that's right in front of you that you think you can, you know, get really quick off of a viral video or something. I mean, if you really want this to be something sustaining for whatever purpose, your why has to be bigger than you. Do you want to help people? Do you want to educate people? Do you want to, eventually write a book one day, or, start a podcast and have people listen to your thoughts and ideas? And once you kind of get that in your head, you don't have to know how you're going to do it. But once you get it in your head, that's kind of like your thesis statement, your point of exactly, this is where I'm going to start. This is my starting point. So
Right. And think of anybody that you maybe follow on social media, if you're active on there, that it does have a big following that has maybe made a career out of their online presence. Think about what they probably have shared their why, right? Or they have at least, and you can guess their why by what they're doing. And so, for me personally, like one of my biggest whys is just really is helping people see that the talents and abilities that they have and how to share that with the world. So I just love teaching and marketing. I teach marketing, so that's a great way to share it with the world. But a lot of people, they don't see their own gifts and abilities. And so,
right.
I want to encourage people to find those gifts and abilities, and I want to help people discover them if they have, if I get to have that personal relationship with them.
Yes, I totally agree. And that's probably why we work so well together, because I love people discovering that stuff too. And people, so many times they settle for less because they don't know what they're good at. And that's another inspiration of mine, is like motivating people to become that person, to know that, whatever talents or gifts you have, it's possible to work in that field, to be in that field. So you're actually happy in your day-to-day life. So you love waking up in the morning, and, you're going to be the best at what your natural talents are. Those
right.
two things go together.
Yes.
So if you want to be the best, you've got to know what you're good at, and you've got to figure that out. So
exactly. So if you're stuck and you don't really know what your why is, and you're not sure, you don't know how to define it, we have one little prompt for you, and we'll include this in the episode notes. But this is a great little exercise. Try and finish this sentence. Becoming known will connect me to people and help them in these ways. And just finish that sentence. Add, it could be multiple things. Maybe it's only one thing, but if you can fill in the blank there at the end, that could really help you start to discover your why. Also, think about if you were being interviewed on a podcast 2 years from now, what would you be interviewed about? What would you be talking about?
yes.
And that can start to, if something pops in your head, that can start to tell you, that's what you want to be known for. And that could be the reason, your why.
Let's see
So,
here.
So now, once you know your why, then you can start to figure out the what.
The what's, yes. So if you could do anything you want, essentially, what would it be? I think this is something that people put a lot of barriers on themselves, saying, this is what I love, this is what I would love to do, but I don't know how, or I don't know, I don't think I'm good enough at it, or whatever the case may be. But whatever those things are that you see and you're like, man, I wish I could do that. Man, I wish I could be like this, or things that inspire you, that set you on fire. Those are the things that you want to start to reach towards. Take little steps to do that. And another way to figure out what you want to be known for is, what are you tired of seeing? Everybody has those things,
Yes.
You're like, oh my gosh. And, people don't hesitate to say what they don't like on social media.
Right.
People are very quick to comment and judge and be, and it's like, well, if you see a problem, how are we going to fix it? If you really see this problem and it drives you that crazy, then how about we fix it? Because
right.
That's the big reason I started with motivation, is because I was like, oh, I see all these people that aren't happy. Why are they not happy? Well, it's how they're thinking. So if I can figure out a way to make them think about the way that they think, then we can fix this problem. So seeing things that you're tired of is huge. And also, just like I was saying, what you're inspired by.
Right. Yep. I just thought of an example. I literally just saw it on my Instagram stories this morning. Chris Cubby, an entrepreneur that I have followed, who I love. You should check him out. He has a very successful marketing company. I believe he has like 10 or 12 employees now, but he started with by himself and wanted to be a marketing company. And he's kind of taken the stance of, what are you tired of? And his purpose kind of has been almost to be the anti-entrepreneur. And just this morning, he posted a screenshot on a story of when he searched on Instagram #entrepreneur video, and like what the results were. And it's a bunch of floofy, people with their Lamborghini and whatever. And he was like, this is what Instagram says entrepreneurship is about. No. And that, it's totally not it. So, but he's making a name for himself in showing like the legitimate, like hard work that has gone into building his marketing company. He works 16-hour days all the time, and he documents that process. And then now he's being a voice, out there saying like, hey, I'm tired of seeing all these people. I'm an entrepreneur, and they're out, on the beach and whatever. Like, it takes hard work. And
right. You're not just sitting behind a computer in Malibu. So.
Yeah. So anyway, so you could definitely, it's better. I think it's better to not necessarily focus on the negative, but I mean,
right.
But he's trying to fix that problem. He's trying to give people a real perception of what entrepreneurship is. So that's what he's chosen.
That's good. Yeah, that's definitely a good angle to go at it, for sure. And just like you were saying, I mean, whatever it is that you gravitate towards for that what is kind of how you're going to specify and narrow it down. And so one of my big tips about getting this process going is finding your what comes from documenting instead of creating. So we always have this idea in our head that we have to, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? What kind of information can I provide people? And that's not necessarily how you need to start. I mean, documenting is just going through your day, saying, this is what I'm doing. I put sugar in my coffee because I don't like it to be bitter or whatever. You know what I mean? Like whatever that is. And through that documenting process, you start to figure out what it is that you like to talk about. You know, you see what people respond to. You'll be surprised how much people will engage with relatable things. I talk about this all the time. Posts that I talk about restaurants, food, how I get up 3 times to eat before I go to sleep at night. People respond to that because it's relatable, right? So documenting, starting with that process is so huge for you kind of discovering your what, but you have to start in order for that to happen.
Exactly. And even if maybe you already have a business, you feel like, oh, everybody knows what my business is about. No, they really don't. And even if they have an idea of what your business does, they don't know the behind the scenes, and they don't know the behind the scenes of how you do it. So people actually like to hear the stories behind the business or behind the person. And so document that, and that'll start to show you what else you could talk about, or what, like Alison said, what people relate to.
It's true. And so many of the behind the scenes things that, you know, I want to see what the warehouse looks like that you sell your stuff out of, or, you know, where do you work at? Do you work in an office? Do you work in the warehouse? You know, all these, they're so random, but people care about where you're at, and it brings a face to the name of whatever it is that you have or whatever it is that you're selling. So
exactly.
That's huge. So what value can you provide to others with your knowledge? That's another huge point. That what is it that you know, kind of like you were just saying, that, you know, we all have our day-to-day lives that we go through, and to us it's what we do, and we don't really see anything special about it, I feel like, most of the times. But you have knowledge, whatever your field you're working in right now, whatever your hobby is on the side, you practicing that thing, you doing that thing over and over gives you knowledge in that field. And so many fields that, you know, other people aren't in, they want to know, just to know the facts.
Right.
It's, it's huge.
Yeah. And so, you know, no matter what you do for a living, or no matter what you do for a side hustle, no matter if you're a full-time stay-at-home mom, I promise you know something that somebody else doesn't.
Yes.
And it's probably something that there is a group of people that want to hear and learn more about. So think about the things that you might know from whatever it is you do to help other people.
Yes, for sure. So kind of going through the what process again, like as an overall broad spectrum, we have the motive of why do you love doing whatever it is that you do? You know, is it for inspiring others? Is it, you know, a certain field that you're in? Whatever that is, what is your motive behind it? And then once you know that motive, document it. How do you do what it is that you do? How do you prepare? Do you eat breakfast in the morning? Do you not eat breakfast? Do you have coffee? And then it's like, what keeps you motivated? Because so many times we see something that we love or that we want to do, but we're like, how do you find the motivation? I get that all the time with fitness. How do you find the motivation to work out all the time? And it's like, well, okay, let me explain it to you. So maybe if you understand that thought process, then you'll get the same motivation, you know, because of course, staying motivated in any field is a byproduct of your motive, your purpose. So I think that's huge. And so from that documenting process, your what will come about much easier. What was your favorite part to share, and what were you excited to tell other people about? Because you get used to it, and it becomes where you're like, oh, this is what I want to talk about today, you know? Yeah. And so with that, who do you want to know you? Whose attention do you want, and who do you want to help or be around? This is kind of like, what kind of friends do you want? What kind of crowd do you want to run with? And thinking about brands too, it's like, what kind of brands do you want to represent or be a part of, you know?
Yeah. So, you know, a lot of people do want to gain influence online, and so they can be a paid influencer, right? Which is totally fine. That's a great thing to do. And more companies are paying influencers, even micro influencers. The Gary Vee, if you guys are into marketing at all, have heard of him. Yes. I was listening to a podcast by him just a couple weeks ago where he was saying the micro influencer is super growing. And like right now, the micro influencer that he is very excited about, which I was excited because it's totally me, is like the late 30s, early 40s, like suburban mom who has, 700 to 2,000 followers on Instagram, who has a group of, friends or followers that listen to what they say and who believe and trust them when they tell them their opinion on something. And so he's saying what did he call it? He called it like the alpha mom or something like that. But, you know, like totally, it's so funny, but it's so true. Like, you know, so if you want to have, represent a brand, there's probably a brand or 2 or 10 out there who you would be a good representative for. So you just have to build your influence and prove to them that you would be a good representative for that.
Yeah, and that's all part of putting yourself out there, right? So that when you can attract those brands by your personality, by your reviews, by what you like and don't like, and then, you know, there's that opportunity for brands to see you for who you really are, because how's anybody going to find you if you don't have yourself out there, you know? Yeah. So we kind of get to this point of when you're becoming known, personal versus personality. So we're all used to, you know, if you're not in this influencer space, we're used to having our Instagram, our Facebook for personal use, right? So we post pictures of our cats or whatever. I don't have a cat, but, you know, it's just a lot of people have cats. And, you know, you post scenery, you post inside jokes that you have with some of your friends, and you're a little more selective because you know that your audience already knows you. You know, your Facebook friends all know you. So you can post whatever you want and people will be more or less entertained by it because they know you. So becoming known is a totally different angle because you have to understand that you have to put your personality out there. Otherwise, people don't understand, they don't know you, right? So the personality and character content is huge, and you have to understand the audience doesn't know you. So the jokes that you make, the habits that you have to explain them. You know, when you're with your friends goofing off or whatever you want to post about, you have to show more than one side of your life so that people can connect the dots and know who you really are. Because, you know, I see people all the time post little snippets of things, and if I don't know them, it's like, okay, well, haha for you and your friends, but I don't know. You know?
Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, what does that mean? Great.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure, connecting the dots of who you are. And so how do I become known? Being authentic, like we've been talking about this entire time, you know, being authentic with who you are, but also keeping your audience in mind that you have to display more than one side of yourself. You know, you can't be like, oh, well, this is all I want people to see. You've got to be yourself. It's just like when you're in person, you know, you want to meet somebody that's genuine. You know, you want to talk to somebody that's genuine.
Right.
Being where your audience is, this is huge, whether that's conferences or whether that's at Starbucks, wherever the audience that you want, you know, where are they at?
And even on social media, like let's say you have multiple accounts. If one of your accounts is suddenly starting to have way more engagement, way more followers, then that's probably where your audience is. So then that means you should place more focus on that platform. Or for example, on Instagram, if your Instagram posts are getting okay engagement, but you're getting tons of views or tons of engagement on your Instagram stories, then that means your audience is enjoying watching your stories. So put more focus there, right?
Yeah, for sure. And that's a part of that is once you see that part of where your audience is, now you can be consistent, because consistency is so important. It's like, you know, you want people to know, okay, every Tuesday and Thursday I'm going to get a post from, you know, from this person, and this is generally what they talk about, or this is what the idea is, because then they get used to having people in their everyday lives. I don't know about you, but I wake up and I watch certain people's stories. I'm like, this is, what did they do this morning? What was your breakfast? I want to know.
You might be one of those people for my list.
Yes.
Well, because if you guys don't follow Alison yet, you need to, because she does do pretty much every morning by like 8 o'clock usually. Mm-hmm. I think she posts her little motivational video for the day. And that's how she really got to become known, is she wanted to inspire other people to make changes in their lives to better themselves and better their lives. And so she talks about that every morning. She gets on Instagram stories, thanks to me, by the way.
Yes, thank you. Oh
I made her start doing that.
Yes, you did.
But so every morning, if you need a little kick of motivation, you know you can go to her Instagram story and you're going to get that. So, yeah, definitely, you know, but that's part of becoming known. So people now know her for that.
Yes, I love it. That's the greatest thing.
And she's consistent, so people expect it now. And so that helps. That's going to help you grow your following and get engagement more, because people will keep coming back and seeking out your content if they know it's there every day.
Yes, and it was so sweet. I think it was early last week. I woke up with a terrible, terrible migraine, and I did not feel better until probably 1 o'clock in the afternoon. afternoon. So I didn't post in the morning. I didn't post a picture. I didn't post a video. And I had people being like, are you okay, Alison? Where are you? And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. People
like,
expect it. Yeah.
Yes. So I love that part about, building a community. And so part of building a community is collaborating, right? So whether that's with other people, whether that's with a brand, going to networking events and stuff like that is a huge part of it. But essentially it's getting on camera, on video, in posts with other people and talking, whether it's about, providing education or giving out new ideas, or just being plain goofy, whatever it is, whatever it is that you love to do. That's part of building a community, is collaborating with people. And you never know who is going to, respond to you. Right. And one of the ways that I like to collaborate is I try to do giveaways for a certain amount of followers or engagement that I have. And so when I got to, I think it was 15,000 followers, I did a collaboration with all of these health companies. And my absolute favorite was Mama Chia. Yeah. And I reached out to them and they sent out a huge care package of, all of their products to one of my followers who won the challenge.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yes. So getting with some companies, they're really willing to collaborate because they want to get their name out there too. So
yeah. And you're talking about building a community and collaborating. Obviously, Alison and I are collaborating, but together on Creating You, and we're also building a community. That's the thing is, we didn't talk much about what Creating You has been so far. So far, it's really been workshops. Mm-hmm. And so we've had, if you're in the Phoenix area, we would love to have you visit our workshops. We post about them on our Instagram and our Facebook page. Mm-hmm. But we've been doing these in-person workshops, and we have a group of people that are consistently coming to every workshop, and they're really reaching out to each other, not just to us, but to each other too, and getting to know each other.
Love it.
And helping each other. And so we're building that community. And now we're becoming known to that community, and they're starting to share us out to their communities.
Yes.
Which is how you can see the true process of starting to become known.
Yes, and that's the part about when you're authentically yourself, you attract the people that are in that same realm or that want to be in that same idea. So it's very inspiring. I mean, we've talked about this so many times. After we're done with our workshops, we're like, oh my gosh, I was so inspired by the people and just talking and building ideas and coming up with new concepts, because that environment is part of what helps people thrive. It's kind of like that, how people talk about like, what tribe are you running with? Who are you running with? And becoming known really makes it a point of, you finding those right people, because you attract what you are when you really put it out there.
Your vibe attracts your tribe, right? Yeah. It's cheesy, but it's so true, right? True. But that's, I totally forgot my train of thought. That's okay. Something about the workshops. So if you haven't caught this yet, we love social media.
Yes.
But we also strongly believe in meeting in person, right?
Yes.
Alison and I happen to live near each other, so we're able to meet in person and record this content and stuff like that. But that's why we're still keeping our workshops in person, because we want that that interpersonal connection and so you need both. It's great to have an awesome influence online, but you need to still meet people in person too.
Yes, that's huge. Wherever you're at, whenever you can meet up with people that that you've connected with online, it makes it real. As much as we love social media, we want the realness factor, right? We want to actually engage with that person, hear their voice, all that fun stuff. But one of my favorite quotes is kind of about this whole creative process and everything coming into your purpose is, at the intersection where your gifts, talents, and abilities meet a human need, therein you will discover your purpose. And that is by Aristotle. I love it.
Yes. And so that kind of, I think, sums up really well the main point of what we're talking about today is just discovering your why and using that why to find your purpose and to start to become known for that.
Yes.
So we'd love to thank you so much for joining us on our very first episode of It's a Beautiful Influence. Yay! We did it!
I know!
If we could do it, you could do it too.
Absolutely.
And we have our very next episode coming up in about a week, and that is going to be on auditing and enhancing your personal brand.
Yes.
So if you kind of want to figure out if you have stuff out there already, what to do with it, how does it look, how do I fix it, how do I test? Yes. That's what we're going to be talking about. And we would love to have you follow us and connect with us on social media. We'll leave all the handles for Creating You and Alison and myself in the episode notes. And please come back and listen to episode 2 and make sure to subscribe wherever you love to listen.
Yes.
Have a great day.
Bye.